Hi YouTube, and this is JTrain997, and I'm back this time with my review of the DC Icon Series Superman vs. Doomsday box set. Now let's get a good look at them here in the packaging. They appear to have this extra layer of plastic over the figures to keep all the accessories in place that's kind of making them hard to view in the box. But a very nice dynamic pose. Superman using the heat vision, Doomsday is just crammed in there. A lot of really nice accessories. A very plain little slip cover on this box. On the back it just shows a pose you can get them in once they're both out. So speaking of, let's actually get this slip cover off. And again, not really sure why the need for the slip cover, but hey. So, it didn't really cover up that much of the box. The exact same picture on the back. The only thing different is the cover of the Superman where he actually died over here on the side. Top, the Death of Superman logo. On the bottom, just the standard company information. So not too much at all to say about the packaging. Let's open them up. Hey everybody, and this is JTrain back with a halfway to the unboxing update. I wanted to point out there's some really nice art on the inside of the package that the plastic covers up with this destroyed cityscape. Just top, bottom. That's really, really nice. However, it's not all good news. As you can see here, there's supposed to be these little effects included with this box set. I already knew they were supposed to come with it, and they're literally floating cardboard words. Crack-a-toom, boom, you know, just silly things like that. And in the accessory tray, they're not here. So I went back through the box, and I don't rip my boxes apart. Went through everything, checked everything out, and it would just appear that for some reason, these were left out of my set. So we'll go ahead on with a review, but that's definitely disappointing. But that being said, let's move on to these guys out of the package. And here we have Superman and Doomsday out of the packaging, both on their base. I'll try and go at a quick 360 in here. One thing I'll go ahead and note about both figures, and you'll see right there why it's a problem, is they gave each of them only one foot peg. So, go ahead and get a 360 of Superman, and there he goes. So, we'll talk about the base first for that very fact. You get all these pegs in a little compartment in the plastic tray, and you fit them all down here. And once they're in the base, they can be covered up by these various pieces of rubble, which you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of rubble. And I mean, we won't go into super detail on all of them, but you know, that's a nice little touch. I mean, the ones that you don't put on there to cover up the pegs, you can just kind of scatter about your bases. But everything that's supposed to peg in for me is just not really working out. It's like the pegs go a little bit too far down into the base. Like, they'll connect, but it's just not very sturdy. And see, actually 2 of the pegs came out there. Maybe the way to go about it is to put the peg in and then put the rock in. I mean, nope. Oh well. So, it's really nice they gave us so much rubble. It's a good idea, even though it's not working really well. You can see the Superman cape flag that's been ripped off his body. It's got a little peg hole in there. I don't think these rocks are detachable, which I wouldn't want to remove them anyway. So we'll put those off to the side. And we'll get a look at Doomsday here first. If I can pose him real quick. This is the first time I bought any of the Icon series. And they're not quite in the normal scale that DC Direct makes. They're a bit smaller, and one of the things I noticed immediately upon opening these two is that certain joints are very, very loose, and certain joints are very, very stiff. So I can pose him right there. Just scoop these off to the side. Now, before we go on to more about the joints, they are extremely nicely detailed. Just all the various rips in his little containment suit, all the spikes. We'll get front and back on him. But as I was saying, his legs where they connect at the bottom, the crotch, are just super loose. And I think it's this type of joint you can see here that they've used. So I don't really know what to call that. He looks like he would spin at the quadricep, but he's very, very stiff. double jointed at the knee, but just barely working. You really got to fight it. Ankle joint goes forward and back. No real pivot. He moves right at the abdomen. It looks like he also has a crunch. Yeah, there we go. That's surprisingly nice for DC Direct. Arms do a full 360. They look like they have a quadricep joint, but neither one really wants to spin, and I'm afraid of breaking it. Elbow joint, not too much movement. You can see there about the range I'm getting. Spins. Let's see. Spins at the wrist, and it has a hinge. There we go. We're getting a little bit of a bend out of that. Now, Doomsday does come with an alternate fist, which, goodness, this thing is stuck in here. Hang on, I'm going to have to do this off camera. There we go. That's not too bad once you get it all that out. Oh no, I zoomed out. There we go. Oh goodness, refocus. And Doomsday will surely destroy this review if he doesn't kill Superman. Doomsday comes with two alternate hands, which are just closed fist. Now, I think he's plugged in there all the way. Plugging it in was a lot easier than actually getting the other one out. And one of the other accessories he comes with is this little tattered Doomsday cape. So, I mean Doomsday cape, Superman cape, which you just drape over Doomsday's claws, like so. If I can get him posed again. So, Doomsday's a nice looking figure. His articulation is a little worrisome, that certain parts are so stiff, certain parts are so loose. But he's already leagues above the Infinite Earths, the Club Infinite Earths Doomsday, because he's actually in scale with Superman. And we'll actually get a size comparison at the end, but until then, let's move on to Superman himself. And here we have Superman all by his lonesome. Now I've got to say, I am really digging this figure for the simple fact you don't really see characters like this in this type of design very often. It's just very little left of the costume, especially Superman. He's taking a beating. So let's actually go into just all the detail on him. So you can see there I've got him with a screaming face. He's got some blood splattered on his arm. His costume's ripped to pieces. His legs ripped up. Just really nice detail on that. It's consistent all the way throughout. He's got those really nice scratches on the side of his face. So, he's also got an alternate head, which, if I can pop this off, this is going to be another Doomsday hand all over again. And there he is with his missing head. The alternate head is actually... Oh, well, that's not good. And trying to pop the head on, I popped his leg off. So 1 second while I get that back on. Okay, so popping Superman's leg back on wasn't that big of a deal. Again, it's this odd leg joint they've chosen to give this guy. While I'm not crazy about how it connects, it does allow for a lot of really free range of movement. I mean, just craziness. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons it's so loose, is they've got this odd type of joint, but it's honestly a pretty decent trade-off. I mean, it's holding its poses that you put it in. So, the alternate head is, of course, the dead or defeated Superman, which is very eerie. I mean, when's the last time an action figure gave you a version of your favorite character dead? And he's still got the claw marks on the side, a little bit of blood pouring out of his lip there. Very, very nice. Of course, I probably won't pose him with a dead head on. I'll probably have the screaming or battle head. He comes with this heat vision attachment, which is really nice. I mean, you can see the energy waves they actually sculpted in there. And of course, it's supposed to go flush against Doomsday. And I thought when I first saw this would be a terrible feature. It wouldn't stay on very well. But I've already been screwing around with it. And while you can't, be shaking it around too much, once you pose it, it's going to stay. So that's very nice to see. Superman also comes with this punching effect, which you can see there's a little slot for his fist. It's kind of odd I'm doing this all with dead Superman's face on here, but Just lining him up. So, you can press it like he's actually slamming into Doomsday, creating that little recoil effect. So that's really nice. As far as his articulation, he does a full 360 at the head, some up and down. He has a very slight ab crunch, mostly hindered by his costume. The left and right is also very hindered by the costume. Arms do a full 360. Go out, bend and spin at the quadricep, double jointed elbow, spin and bend at the wrist. You've already seen how wide the range of movement on the legs is, but also have a double jointed knee and an ankle joint. No pivot though. So that being said, some very nice articulation on Superman. Let's actually go ahead and get a look at the size comparison to some of the more standard DC figures. So here we have Superman standing beside the DC Universe Classic Standard Superman. And you can see there very much is a scale difference. This Superman stands about 6 inches. This guy's right at 5. So the line is kind of noticeably different if you were going to buy these and put them side by side. However, let's get the DC Universe Classics Doomsday in here. We'll stand him up behind this Superman. And while I didn't hate the figure, its biggest issue was that it was very, very much out of scale with the line it was made for when this Doomsday came out. And this Doomsday that they've given us is much more in scale. I mean, even with this particular Superman. So, it's nice to have some that actually match up. Not that I hate the Club Infinite Earth's Doomsday. Once again, it's very much a preference thing. So, as you can see here, I actually like the shading on the bone bits of this Doomsday better. They're more of like kind of a washed out whitish gray, where those are almost just pure white with some blue highlights. These Supermen are both, I mean, you gotta have classic Superman, but I definitely love how different they went with this set. But that being said, let's go into a final thoughts on this set. So at the end of the day, this is a pretty nice set. There's definitely things I don't like about it. Obviously, I'm not thrilled that I had missing accessories from my pack, because I definitely would have liked those little cardboard words floating around, even though it seems so silly that I'm upset about that being the missing thing. The base is definitely a good idea that's just not executed well, but there's so many little things like the detail on these figures, the posability, the accessories, where I still think this should be a pickup for any big Superman fan. Of course, while I'm not the biggest Superman fan, the story I like the most is The Death of Superman. The price for this set is $65. Now, at the time I'm making this set's been out for some time. You can still find it at a lot of retailers and online shops. So, I do think that's a bit much, but at the same time, it's still a really good deal for everything you get, as long as you get everything. I'll be reaching out to BigBadToyStore.com, see if they can hook me up with some letters or some floating words. But that being said, this is JTrain997, and I'll see you soon, YouTube.